Hi, this is Coach Shawnee Lavender, the Conscious Moms Coach, saying hello again. I hope you've watched part 1 and part 2 of this video series. If not, I'd suggest you do that before you watch this video because in part 1 of the People Pleasing video series, I talked about what do I mean by being a people pleaser and people pleasing, why this is such a common behavior and mindset for moms. And then in part 2 of the series, I talked about the problems that people pleasing presents for us as moms, the pleasers, and for our children in particular, but also for our spouses and the other people that we're in close relationship with, the problems that they actually experience when we are a habitual people pleaser. So that's what I covered there. So go back and watch those if you haven't. This video, I want to focus a bit more on why does this all matter? Because hopefully you've already figured that out, but if you haven't, let me explain more. So here's what I notice is that when parents come to me, they are often coming with a problem in family life. So there's some kind of disconnect in the relationships, either between parent and child or parents and children, or between spouses, between siblings, things like that. So there's usually some friction, some conflict, some stress, some struggle. And the parents often, as many of us do, are looking for, well, what can I do to change this? Now, usually they are wanting to know, how can I get my child to stop doing something or to start doing something else? Because we have a focus often on, okay, here's this behavior that's going on and that's not working and I want to stop it or change it. And there is definitely value in having strategies to come up with ways to communicate differently to your child, ways to engage their playfulness, ways to manage your own stress, things like that. Definitely. I strongly encourage parents to learn strategies of human relationships, all kinds of things. So that is important. However, the reason this issue of people pleasing and all other issues that are unconscious ways of looking at the world and operating the world, that it's really important to get to those issues is that they are the roots. So they're this root, and they are what our experience grows out of. So if this were like the roots of a tree in the ground, well, the tree grows out of that, right? So what grows on this tree is strongly, strongly influenced by the roots. It's not just the weather or the rain. Well, that's weather. It's not just the weather, the environment. It is what is there in the roots. So similarly with family life, if we're seeing these conflicts and we're looking at strategies, we are operating up here at the surface level. So we're saying, oh, well, what can I do? What new behavior management technique can I do? Or what new way of communicating can I learn? So again, can be very useful and important, so I'm not negating those. However, if that's only where your focus is, if you're not willing to get down to this root, the roots are going to be here. And you can, smooth some of this out. And so this problem over here may disappear for a while. But if the root's there, bloop, another problem is going to poke up that is rooted to the same issue. So you have to get to the issue if you want long-term change. So strategies are only going to get you so far. You've got to go down to that root. And this is something that sometimes people resist. There's sometimes fear there. They think it's going to be hard. And sometimes it can be hard. But in my experience, it's actually way less hard to work on the root issues than it is to do a bunch of work out here, get some temporary relief, only to have the things keep happening. It's like, why keep doing that when you could go down to the root and root it out really strongly. Maybe there's going to be some little tendrils there. We're human beings. We may not, in a lifetime, we may not fully resolve all of our issues. And yet when we can get to them in significant volume, my experience in my own personal life and with my clients is there's huge shifts that happen. So I was in the garden today, in fact, and it's perfect evidence. Like, if you spend any time in a garden or with plants, that let's say you have a plant commonly called a weed that is coming up somewhere in your garden and you don't want it there. So that's why it's a weed. It's something you don't want. If you just pull up the leaves and you leave the roots, guess what? It's coming back. It's coming back, baby. So it's the same thing with our issues. So if we're struggling with our toddler, and we're having power struggles with them, or we're, having a real difficult time helping them learn to be cooperative. Yeah, learn some things to help on that. But if part of your issue is that you, part of you is a pleaser, and so you have this desire to always keep people happy, you may run into those times when your toddler isn't wanting to do something that's really important, and you just say, oh, forget it. I'm throwing the towel in on this one, because some part of you may be like, I can't move through this stressful place where they're mad and they're yelling, or they tell me they hate me. That's a root. That's something in the roots. That's not up here. So I really encourage you to spend the time with this. Do some self-examination and say, what is here for me? Talk to me. This is one of the fundamental pieces that I do in my work. I do coaching groups, and specifically while we're talking all about parenting and all about those day-to-day challenges and how to resolve those in loving, effective ways, we are getting in there to those roots with each mom so that she can start to break that free and loosen those things that are the real problems that are creating the negative results in her life. So I really encourage you to do that work, to reach out if you're a parent, talk to me about what that can look like to work on those, because it makes a long-term difference for you. So yeah, do the strategies, and that's fine, and I can work with you on that too. And yet, really, to make the lasting change that you want for yourself and you want for your children, you got to get down to those roots. And people-pleasing is not the only root, so there's lots of other ones, and I know about those too. This, though, video is specifically about the people-pleasing, and so I wanted to give that picture of why does all this matter, besides obviously addressing the negatives that I talked about earlier and eliminating those from your life. It really is important that if you're wanting to create long-term change, it is important to go down there to the roots and say, okay, let me look at this people-pleasing in me. How does it show up specifically? Why does it show up for me? What triggers it? What can I do about it? So that's where it gets fun and really rewarding, because you're going to extricate that baby out of there, and it's going to show up less and less and less in your life. And it just becomes easier to not do it. And I want to circle back all the way to the beginning to really be able to fulfill that noble intention that is there behind people pleasing, or not behind, but with people pleasing, to be loving and generous and caring. So when you want that, so you want to show up that way in your life for yourself and for those you care about. So that noble intention, it really does not happen when we have people pleasing. It's really getting sort of crushed and contaminated by that people pleasing behavior. When you remove the people pleasing, when you root that out through intentional work, that noble intention can actually flourish, because now you're doing things out of choice and you're doing them in harmony with nurturing yourself and caring for yourself. So it's super exciting. I love to work on these things. It's so rewarding for me as a coach, Certainly, though, for you moms out there and dads too, you may have people pleasing, you have other things. So I would love to talk with you about how I can support you in that, because again, it's really going to have huge payoffs for you personally and for your children. So this is Shani Lavender. I'm the Conscious Moms Coach, and I hope you've enjoyed my people pleasing series. And as always, I am glad to engage with people in productive conversation. So if you have some questions or comments, post them on any of the videos and I'll be glad to respond to you. I want to also invite you to join me over on Facebook. I have a community called the Conscious Moms Circle, and it is a place where parents, mostly moms, but parents from around the world come together to support and encourage each other in living and parenting with intention, peacefulness, and love, so that we can really grow ourselves as our children grow alongside us. So I'd love to invite you over there. I do weekly Facebook live video broadcasts, so you get more fun topics like this. I have events there as well. I share special offers. So look that up on Facebook, the Conscious Moms Circle. Again, this is Shani Lavender. Thanks so much for your time, and I wish you a great day.